is, of course, start with the heel, get that pulling addressed. Is she on her own collar?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and then is Nepali on the same model?
Yes.
Yeah.
You might actually be able to pair those collars together so you each have your own remote and stuff.
Right,
So
and
we
we've got
actually
it.
have questions about that because maybe we should bring the collar next
figure it
time
out.
for you to teach and show us.
I'll figure it out.
I paired it with the one remote to both collars, but how do you then, like, you then have to zap both dogs?
No,
That's
there's a switch. You have to pair one collar to dog 1 and one collar to dog 2.
Oh!
Yeah.
Try to explain
I
that.
watched the wrong video. Okay.
Yeah, so I think you should be able to do it. My only thing would be, since they're both their individual systems, you may not be able to do so. But I think as long as you pair one to dog 2 to both remotes, because Nepali has her own, correct?
Yep.
Yep. And you make hers, dog 1 and hers dog 2, you should be able to have, with both remotes, control over both dogs.
Right.
Yeah. So, if you have any questions about it, let me know. They have stuff on the internet, or you can call them up as well. They have pretty good technical support.
Okay.
They'll help you pair it up.
Well, and I haven't tried it yet, Jen.
I'm not technically savvy. So.
Sure.
But we hadn't really needed it, so I hadn't really spent any time with it. But
For sure.
now, once we start this,
Correct.
use it a
And
lot
then you
more.
start traveling and stuff, and then the dogs. Yep. If you have any questions, just let me know. So what we'll start here is finding her working level. This is it's funny because you guys have already done training, so it's like I'm gonna be like super redundant.
That's okay.
It's
but
been a while.
We need the
refresher
anyway.
for sure. So let's go ahead and pull out your remote here. And what's it set at the moment?
19.
19. Let's go. Let's give it a couple taps on the neck with 19. Tap, 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 tap. It might be. Try tighten it, maybe a notch or two. Yeah.
She also has like a lot of neck skin.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll pull the neck skin through the collar downwards, because especially with pups, as they're filling out, they tend to have a lot of loose skin and folds.
Yeah.
That the probes will fall between the folds, and then you won't have good contact. Okay. Let's try it now. Tap, tap.
I see her skin
Yeah,
react, but she's not reacting.
Right. So let's bump it to 24. Tap, tap, tap. 29.
Anyway, let's go.
Tap, tap, tap. So you can see the twitching, right?
Yep.
You see how she's not phased? 34. Tap, tap, tap. 39. Tap,
Shocked.
tap. This is super common. Tap. A little something there. 44. Tap, tap, tap. 49. Yep, tap, tap. 54. We're getting close. That's good. Yep. Tap, tap, tap. You're 54, right?
Yep.
59?
She's like, something's up here.
Yeah.
She doesn't seem like the smartest.
I
girl
think
in the shed.
Nepali was more sensitive.
Definitely.
Okay, so you're gonna have-
So the times we've actually had it on her and shocked her, she
flips out.
runs away. She's so scared.
For this one.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
one.
So,
So
when
it's
we get the
interesting to see
collar out,
this.
she goes like this. and
Sure.
is
Oh,
sad.
yeah. So I'll explain all that. So because we're in a distracting environment, her mindset, you see how she's interested in the Bernese? She's so focused on the Bernese that it's overriding the power of the collar. So if you did it in the home where there was not so much stimulus,
Right.
Yeah.
more sensitive, and when you said when you remoted her, she ran off, that's super common, which is why we always start with leash walking first, because a dog's first instinct is typically to run away. Okay, so if you're in your own home or if you're in your yard, not a big deal, but obviously I'll tell people, like, don't try anything off the leash with the remote until we've covered the come when called stuff,
Okay.
and fear that they may send their dog away. Okay, we're at 59 now.
Yes.
Okay, tap, tap, tap. Better. We're going to work with that. Okay, so we have 3 levels. We have connection, perception, and working level. Connection is simply the twitch. Doesn't mean anything. Just means you have connection. Perception, we got that earlier. I don't know when you saw when she kind of backed up and sat next to you,
Yep.
but she wasn't too bothered by it. And then working level is same thing, but the dog's more concerned. Okay, and the reason why we want working level or concern is right off the bat, that's what allows us to get functional obedience within 20 minutes, whatever. Because a dog, everybody wants to turn off discomfort. Nobody likes being in an uncomfortable situation, right? So here, when we do this leash walking exercise, we're making the situation uncomfortable, that she's thinking, how do I turn this off? And then once we show her how to do so, we use the remote less and less, because the dog's motivated by, I don't like the way that feels, so I'm gonna do this instead, okay? With walking, was Nepali on the left?
She was on the right.
She's on the right. Are you gonna do Pemba?
Yeah.
I'd
like her to be on the left.
What's that?
I would like her to be on the left, because then I can have Nepali on the right eventually.
Okay. You can do both on one side. It's really just personal preference. So you're
I
gonna
guess
do.
because like she hasn't been trained yet, I feel like I have more control if they're on opposite sides.
Sure.
Maybe when she's trained, it'll feel better if she's on the right.
Well, once you've trained her though, she's gonna be so used to the left. It's gonna be. I have a client that I just started who was trained on the left, and she wanted to do the right, and it was a pain in the butt to try to switch it.
I'm fine with the left. Like, I'm thinking if we're both walking them, I mean, I just favor my right.
Sure.
Yeah, same.
So I think when we're both walking them, like I have one and she has the other,
Sure.
it's easier to have both on the right.
Oh, yeah.
But Jen's right that,
I walk them more at this point.
But there's no reason they can't be walking next to each other, right?
Correct.
Right side?
Yeah.
Correct.
Totally.
Like-
yeah, we can do right.
If anything, when you're trying to integrate them together, because with Nepali, have you had any issues with reactivity?
No.
No?
Well, I mean, yes, with other dogs.
Uh-huh.
I mean, not really with her.
Not with her. Okay, because that's one thing we want to factor in. Is
No, Nepali actually is a changed dog on the leash. I actually was just bragging to Michael about that like a month or two ago. Like, I took her out, just her, and oh my god, she would see things and she'd just look at it and she knew like I'm not supposed to respond, and she wouldn't respond and she'd just keep going.
Okay.
I didn't even have to.
the remoter. Okay. So, because if I have a client that has two dogs and one dog's reactive, then you want to think, well, if we have two dogs on one side, if we should see reactivity, you may also get redirect, and that might be to the handler or another dog. Okay, and this was just occurred to me right now. So it's really playing it by ear if you do both sides. The other thing that we could do is add in a prong collar. When I get clients that have more than one dog, they almost always use a prong with the e-collar because they don't have good technical skill. Because now you're working with two dogs.
It's hard when you're walking them to be like,
Yeah, and I've walked as many as 4 dogs off leash, but they're so trained that I didn't need the remote, so I'd have to worry about that stuff. But obviously, I've been doing this for like 10 years.
Well, and here's a comment on that. Nepali still does barking in the house, and so she runs to the front when she hears the doorbell and she's "Arr!"
Sure.
And then Pemba comes at her, and then she redirects it on Pemba.
Gotcha.
So she does do that.
Okay, and we can set up a Zoom session. I've started using other tools for correcting things in the house.
Oh, cool.
So those things that you want to address, we can go over in the Zoom, okay? Give a tap.
Come the heel.
Tap. You're at 59, right?
Yes.
Let's go to 63, because I can tell that she's not faithful. And this is real normal in the beginning.
So funny, though.
Yeah.
Because if you had seen her when she was lightly tapped the first time.
How long ago was that, though?
Like 2 months ago, I guess.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Now she's, lots changed. 6 months in a year. Very, very pivotal changes in a dog's life. Okay. All right. So we're going to do left or right, knowing that.
I'm more comfortable with left.
Okay.
Okay. Then we'll do left. All right. So let me go ahead and have you come over here, Michael. You can step on the path, and then I'll coach you through everything. Okay. So with Nepali, when we were doing the healing exercise, it was a lot of about left turns because Nepali was trained on the right.
Right.
We're gonna flip that around now. Okay, so just to do a quick review, if we're walking with Pemba here, same idea. When she passes, you're gonna make an immediate 180 straight to your right this time, and remoting. And I'll tell you tap when you need to tap until she arrives here. Okay. Because we're just starting, she's probably going to pass you. You start remoting. Again, immediate 180 to the right. She comes back here. Forward, tap, 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 tap. Here, and we're going to repeat that several times until Pemba starts to line up with you. Okay. Now, of course, coach you through everything. So when you hear me say turn, it means that 180 sharp turn to the right. When you hear me say tap, it means to tap on the remote. So if I say tap, 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 that would be your rhythm. If I say tap, 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 that would be your rhythm. Okay? Questions? Nope. All right, let's go and get started. And what we're gonna do as well is we're gonna give, is that like a 4-foot leash there?
Yeah.
Go ahead and give the full slack if you're holding it in your, are you gonna hold it in your right or your left?
Left.
Then you can shorten about a foot. There you go, perfect. And go ahead and, instead of going forward, I'm gonna have you just turn to your right and start walking that way. Tap. Turn, tap, tap, good. Forward, yep. Turn again, tap. Pull to your left, tap, 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 good. Turn, tap, 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 good. Relax. Good. Keep forward. Turn, tap, tap, good. Pull to your left, tap, tap, good. Yep, good. And then relax, good. Slow turn. Tap, tap. Good. Going to speed up. Forward, tap, tap, tap. Good. Turn. Tap, tap. Good. Forward, tap, tap, tap. Good. Good. Keep forward and turn. Tap, tap. Good job. Yes, good. Go ahead and slow turn. Good. Yep, nothing there. Good. Go ahead and speed up a little. And I'm going to have you pull to your left, tap, tap, tap. Keep going, keep forward, tap. There you go, good. And hug towards the left side of the sidewalk, towards Jen. Tap forward. Tap forward. Good. Slow turn. Tap, yep, tap. Keep going. And then, yep. And let's go ahead and dip down to, you're at 63?
64.
64? Let's go ahead and go down to 54. Yep, tap. There she goes. Atta girl. Tap forward. Good. Slow turn. Tap, tap. Turn, tap, 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 tap. Good. Tap forward, tap. Good. Turn, tap, tap, tap. Good. Yep, keep forward. Good. Turn. Tap, 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 tap. There she goes. Slow turn. Tap. Slow walk. There she goes. Tap to the left. Pull to the left. Tap, 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 tap. So now she's locking up. You're at 55, 54?
53.
Let's go ahead and go back to 63. You're
Because she stopped.
Yeah, because you see how she's shutting down here? So go ahead and take a step forward and tap. There she goes. Good. So we're going to take a break, let her process all that stuff. So good. So you can see why the importance of finding that working number in the beginning, right?
What was her number?
We started at 63, 64, and then we went down to like 53, 54, okay? So I went down when she started yipping right here, okay? But I don't know if you noticed, when we dipped it down lower, she was doing well with the 53, 54, but then after a few back and forths, it started to become less effective, and then that's when I had you bump it up again, then she had locked up, right? So, in the beginning, that high number is because, of course, distraction, sense, other dogs, things like that, that you're wanting to override the environment. Once you get the number that concerns the dog and makes them more concerned about you and what's going on than the environment, then we can start teaching stuff, okay? So, when you start your walks now, what I have my clients do is come out, do the potty break, get that stuff out the way, and then find their working number.
Can I ask a question? She does not know how to potty on the leash.
Okay.
Is there any way to help her with that? Like, she will not go on the leash.
You have to remove the leash.
So we have a backyard now, which
Right.
which I think you saw.
Yeah.
And so she is accustomed to, going out back and going potty when she needs to. We put her on the leash. She doesn't get that she's still supposed to potty.
So we were at an Airbnb like 2 weeks ago, and we kept taking her outside with a leash, and she doesn't go when I walk her, and she wouldn't go when we would put her on the leash because it was in the middle of the forest, and we didn't want to just be like, go potty, Is there any way to change that?
Yeah. So you've never seen her pee on a leash?
Not us personally. Maybe the dog walker or sitter has in the past.
Ever since you've had her? Okay.
We have.
You have?
Yeah. She went while we were away. It just she wouldn't go as frequently as we knew she needed.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right. Okay.
I mean, we had to drive down to North Carolina.
Yeah.
And so we made stops along the way. The first stop she did,
Right.
and then the next two stops she wouldn't
Sure.
go potty.
So that can be stress related because of the travel.
Totally. And she does not like the cars.
Yeah. So potty training wise, is she good with holding?
She's regressed recently.
Okay.
She peed in the house this morning.
All right. Let's do this then. Let's set up a Zoom
Okay.
because that's going to take up a class. Okay. And we can use this for in-person. You can set up the Zoom as soon as you want.
Okay, cool.
Okay. You set up tomorrow, whatever. Just talk to Maria. She'll get that set up, and we'll figure out a solution for that. There is a solution. It just might be a little bit difficult. Okay. But I've
Well, I'm glad I mentioned it then.
yeah. But yeah, we could definitely tackle that and just getting the potty schedule back on track. Okay. So yeah, go out. All right. If we get her to the point where she can potty, she potties, and then you'd want to find your working level. Okay. Don't find your working level and then try to get her to potty, because if she's a more timid, kind of shut-downy dog when she gets under stress, that's a stressor. So you don't want to introduce a stressor before she's potty. Right. You want to get that out the way first. Then we find that number. You would do the same thing. I don't worry about any words. I just start low, 15 or so. I start tapping. I do my 3 taps. If I don't see a response, then I go to 20, right? And then 25, and then 30. And what you're looking for is a considerable movement, okay? So it went from neck twitching to kind of moving closer to Michael and like sitting down. And then once we hit the 64, then she starts to kind of look around and do this, right? That's the concern. Okay, because she's like, whoa, that feeling I felt didn't go away, it actually got stronger. And now what we just did is we were teaching her that sensation that she feels is actually communicating to her. Okay, as you work with her more, that number may dip. Okay, it all depends on the dog. It doesn't matter, anxious, nervous, timid, shy, fearful, or aggressive. Every dog is different. A lot of people are like, wow, my dog's so nervous, I'm surprised that they're at 85. But they're not yelping. I'm like, yeah, because your dog is physically tough, emotionally weak. There's different ways of looking at that. Okay, so we're trying to find out what she's at, and of course it may go down. I may mention it with Nepali, but I always tell everybody don't get married to a number because it may change according to the context, right? So right now it's her first time, or I'm assuming first time at Oz, correct?
Yeah.
Right. So you're contending with a lot of stuff. But let's say with each session that we have here, it goes from 64 to 55 to 43 to 25, and next thing you know, you're like, yeah, 22, she's great at Oz Park. But when we took her hiking, we were right back at 64 again. I go, yep, makes sense because of the environment. Okay, question so far. What we're gonna do the same little run, but I'm actually gonna have you give her the complete slack, okay, of the leash. So you'll just hold on to the handle. Did I show you guys the trainer hold before?
I don't
don't think so.
So go ahead and take the handle of your leash, and you're gonna loop it over your thumb, like that, and just close your hand. So you see that? That locks your leash around your thumb. Okay. So if for whatever reason she won't book it, she's not gonna pull the leash out your hand because that thumb's gonna lock it. When we hold it either through our fingers or we do the wraparound, you can either break fingers or the dog will rip the leash out your hand and then
Or break your shoulder.
or break your shoulder 2 times.
You would have got some training before.
That's love, man. Keeping a dog, and there was more stuff too, but that's like the craziest part of it.
It's sweet to hear they hung on and they.
Yeah, he's a big goofball too. He didn't, but that's why I tell people even good dogs and friendly dogs need obedience.
Totally.
I have another couple. The dog broke both their hips and the husband's shoulder.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and it was running around and just ran into them. The shoulder was a pulling thing, but I was like, that's crazy. So
Wow.
I hear some crazy stuff.
I'm sure.
Whenever you're ready, I'm gonna have you again start moving forward, and we went up to 63 again or so, right?
Yeah, I'm on 63 right
Let's go down to 45. Reasoning is, whenever we stop, the dog is literally processing everything that we just went over. So it's possible that she may be more receptive to a lower number. So when you're in the training phase and you're trying to decipher what her personality type needs and all that stuff, that's why we always start low in the beginning. But then if you ever stop for a break, you always want to reset a little bit, go down. Don't go all the way down, but go down, maybe a third or so. So this way you don't just catch the dog off guard, because she may be more susceptible to that higher number. Okay?
Right, okay.
Questions?
Nope.
All right, go ahead and move forward. Good. Tap forward, good. Tap, tap. Pull to your left, tap, good. Tap, tap as you go forward to speed her up. There she goes. Let's go to 50. Good. Good, go ahead and slow walk here. Good. Speed up, tap, tap. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, good. Relax, good. Tap, tap, tap. Good. Go ahead and tap, tap, speed up, good. There you go, good turn. Tap, 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 tap. Good. Tap, tap, tap. Good. There we go. Tap. Go ahead and hug to your right. And then left turn. I'm sorry, right turn. Yep, tap, tap. Tap. Good. Forward. Good. Tap, tap. Keep forward. Tap, 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 tap. So here, a little bit of tension. Tap forward. There you go. Good job. And relax. Good. Good, slow turn. Good, that's perfect. Go and speed up a little. And then slow. Good, slower. Tap, tap forward, good. Go ahead and come to a stop. Is she nervous with runners or fast moving objects?
She gets spooked easily. Yes.
Sure. This is going to help her, okay?
No, that's good because I noticed at one point I was walking here a couple weeks ago and she kind of like sped up and I was like, no, we don't run after people.
Sure.
But it was funny because she'll literally get spooked by sticks that she steps on.
Oh, sure.
And
Okay.
then she like jumps
Sure.
and she barks
Sure.
at sticks.
Yes. Very threatening sticks. So, when it comes to that, because I saw that right away when I saw the runner coming, that she started to, I think, deviate behind you, right? And you corrected with the remoting, pulling her to the side, which is correct. The e-collar will help her handle this stuff better. Okay. So, a couple things I saw in this last run was 55. She was more receptive to. I don't know if you saw that.
Yep.
When you were tapping, she was actually speeding up and like running to your leg, which is exactly what I wanted to see. So then when I saw the runner coming, you were correct. You were correcting her position, but by doing so, you're teaching her. I know you're nervous, but you have to go through this, right? Like now, if you her response is go to the other side, and you're telling her now there's consequence for that. So now she has to face it. Okay? So it doesn't feel bad. You're like, oh, but the dog's nervous. I'm like, I understand that, but you're not going to help the dog through it by allowing the dog to practice the habit.
Right.
So nervousness, fear, anxiety, simplified things are stress responses. Okay? So hers is nervousness. So when something stressing her out, that's the response we're going to get. Then we get, if I'm nervous, I'm going to move out the way. Okay? Which isn't so much a bad thing, but if you allow that too much, it becomes more habit. Does that make sense? That she's practicing the response. So if you start to counter her every time she wants to go over, and you're going, tap, tap, that's not acceptable, and she has to come over here, now she's in, she's under conflict. Nervousness tells her, get away from the fast-moving object. Right? Remote tells her, not an option. So now she's going to go under more stress. Right? She's going to get more nervous. It's normal. Right? Because now she's got to go through it. But the runner goes by and nothing happens. Right? So then her brain goes, oh, I saw this fast-moving object. I got nervous, but there was consequence for doing what I normally do. And I go back and we just walk through it. She looks at you. Dad's not afraid of the runner. And then the runner passes and nothing negative happens. She says, oh, that was so bad, right? But the dog or Pemba has to relate to the call. Okay, that's what makes it real. And she goes, I could try, but I'm risking physicality. But if I just go with it, what happens, right? And it's more so emotional discomfort than it is physical discomfort. And the physical discomfort can always override emotional discomfort. Okay, so this is how I push dogs past their thresholds a lot to get over things. Because they try to run away from like a firework, and like, nope, you can't run away from a firework. This is worse than a firework. They run back. So now I teach them, instead of running away from the owner from the firework, they run to the owner when they go to the firework. That becomes a stress response, right? So whenever you see her doing something, you're almost always going opposite to the dog. So like when she shut down, you saw that, right? You kept moving. You tapped. You made the move. Brain says you can't do it, shut down, and you say, yes, you can, move, right? In this instance, she's on your left side. She wants to move to your right. You counter her, and you go, nope, you can't go right. You have to go left, right? So I've seen this throughout my career hundreds of times, thousands of times. Of whenever we're dealing with a behavioral thing, it's almost going opposite to the dog every single time. Okay, so just keep that in mind whenever you see her doing something. If you see her shut down and not want to do it, use the remote to pop her out of that. Okay, the more you do that, you're conditioning her that no, that is not a response. You have to go through this, and you build her confidence that way. Okay,
Makes sense.
questions so far? So she's doing really good. We're gonna do a bit more, and then I'm gonna have you start doing like the turns and stuff, like the left turns and all that, to see what you remember of those exercises. Okay. Because now that we got two dogs, we really need to know those leg turns. Okay. Whenever you're ready. Good, tap, tap, good, forward. Tap forward, good. Good. Yep, pull your left, tap, 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 good, and relax. Tap, tap, good, and relax. Excellent. Tap, good. Tap, good. Tap, 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 tap forward. Good. Tap, tap, good. Right. Good. Tap, good. Right. Now walk past Jen and slowly. Tap, 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 tap. Tap, 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 tap. So she failed that one. Good. Back on the sidewalk. Tap, tap, tap. Gotcha. Okay. Yep. Good. Going to slow down here. Slower. Stop. Good. Okay. So, see how she does. So, you walk past Jen, and then Pemba pulls straight towards her, right? And you're at 55, pop, 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 and she just sticks there. So what does that tell us? Bump it, right? Her love for mom is too strong. So, whenever you're working with her, I have my 3-tap rule, which is if I don't see a change within 3 taps, I bump it, okay? For her, I'd go in jumps of 5 because she's pretty solid. I'm seeing good responses for other things, like when you're walking, that tap was speeding her up for sure. We got a point where she even tried to book it and go underneath the bench here, right? It's all normal stuff. I can't remember if we saw this with Nepali.
No, I don't think we ever saw her like try and hide.
Yeah.
No, she was usually like glued to us, I feel like.
Gotcha. So, it's normal. So, working with the dog that's behavioral issues and then a stable dog is very different.
You call Pemba stable?
No, she's nervous.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, she's nervous. That's why she's flighty. Okay. So, like, first she tried to shut down, and then there's other things that I noticed, like with the runner, and then right now walking past the bench, she tries to book it again.
Trains. We live like a block and a half from the train line.
Sure.
She cannot handle the train. So what do? Do I keep on walking with her when the train comes? She like cowers and is like.
Yes and no. Okay. So, the way I look at dogs and their behaviors, I go, is this natural or is this realistic? Okay. So, like, trains are not meant to be around, right? A lot of the stuff is not meant. This is not meant to be around, right? The world. So for the dogs, because it's not natural, it's really hard to work on past that. Okay. What I would care about is I don't want her running away when the train comes. Okay, because I have another dog just like her with trains. So we did try to get the dog to go under the train, which we were able to do, but it took a lot of work for the owner. It's very technical, okay? So then I said, well, what about if you hear the train coming, you just stop prior, you're like 30 feet from the train, you have your dog sit, right, while you're waiting, the train passes, and then you go. And that worked for them, because if they try to rush under the train, the dog would be all over the place.
That works with her. That makes sense.
Yeah, and we had to remote the dog so high, and it was like yelping, and then to override the flight response. So I said, all I care about is the dog not running away. I don't care about perfection walking underneath the train while the train is coming, because it's so stressful for the dog, right? So, but like stuff like this is very natural in the sense of you're just walking, that I expect that she just walk with me and not decide to dip out, okay? Like when it comes to like ear grooming and like baths and stuff like that, I don't just go to remote for it. I try to condition the dog using food to enjoy the exercise and use the remote to correct things if needed, because they're not meant to be groomed like that. Does that make sense? So whenever I look at their behavior, I look about, are we gonna have to, like here, runners, bikers, skateboarders, strollers, rollerbladers, you're gonna come across it, right? There's no avoiding that. Trains, you only come across it when you come across a train. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. And so if you're ever struggling with anything with her, think about it that way, and then always feel free to reach out, and then we'll address it. So I saw you try to do a left turn.
Yeah.
Okay. How'd that go?
Didn't go well.
Didn't go well. All right. So do we know why it didn't go well?
I mean, I think she was confused by it.
Okay.
But,
yeah, we went because you're going right the whole time.
Right.
Right.
And then she ended up on the wrong side of the leash
Correct.
Or on the wrong side of me, I guess.
Correct. So one thing that I saw when that happened was the abruptness of the turn. You just went straight into it. Okay. Do you remember what we want to do before we stop and before we turn?
Something with like leading with one leg.
Right. There's legs involved, right? But before the leg movements, there's something that we do prior to stopping and turning.
I don't remember.
Slowing down.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. Everybody forgets it. So it's slowing down. Okay. So just like with driving, we slow before we turn, we slow before we stop, because you'll flip your car, or if you stop too abruptly, the person behind you, of course, is going to crash into you, right? Same thing with the dogs. So, and then with the leg movements, turning if we're crossing over in the poly, turning to the right, do you remember what leg you lead with on that turn?
The left leg?
Correct. You're leading with the leg opposite to the turn, right? So if you're going to turn left, which leg do you think you're going to use?
Lead with your right.
The right, correct, okay? And so if you're going to have a dog on each side, these leg movements become very important, because if you're turning left, you're turning away from the poly, right? So you need to use that right leg, because that's the closest thing to her, to teach her we're moving left now. And for her, it's a leg that crosses over her so that she doesn't get a leg to the face. So it works really well when you're working with more than one dog, but you have to have those leg movements down correctly. Otherwise, you're going to end up in a jumbled mess. And this is with just one dog right now, right? That's some strong wind. Is it moving the camera? So we're going to try that again. So we're going to revisit those turns. And when you're turning left, we're going to do a bunch of crossover turns. So that's crossing over Pemba. You're going to lead that with your right leg, okay? We want to make sure that we do slow down prior to that turn. It should be a 3-step movement. So if we're going to turn left, you're slowing down and cutting at a 90-degree angle like this. So you're right in front of her. Then left, then crossing again with your right. So you should be going the opposite way, okay? So on the third step, you should already be going back the other way. So again, right, left, and then right again. And now we're going back this way. Questions?
No.
We'll give it a shot.
Yes. Ready? Let's go.
Good, slow. Oh, wrong way. You're crossing over Pemba. Yeah, you're crossing over. Right, left, and then cut in with the right. There you go. Good. So that was good. We're gonna make those right legs tighter on the cut. Good. Right, left, right. Yep, forward. You got it. Tap. Good. Let's try 3 more. And let's step down. Let's go down to 40. Hi, you're fine. Right, left, right. There you go. 2 more. Tap forward, tap, tap, tap. Good. Right, left. Yep, you got it. Good fix. Good fix. Tap. Yep. Tap, 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 tap. Good. Tap, tap. Right turn. Tap. There we go. Let's go. We're at 40 now. Let's go to 45. Good turn. That was a good one. Let's try one more. Right, left, right. Good job. Good. And I'll have you slow to stop just here. Tap. Lightly pull up. Tap. 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 Tap.
not very good at sitting.
She's not very good at sitting. Go ahead and position yourself to her. There you go, to her side there.
Sit.
Tap.
Sit.
There she goes. Good girl. All right. So that last one was a little bit difficult, right? Do you know why that is?
She was a little bit in front of me.
A little in front, but more so too far to the left, right? So it's very common for people when we're doing these exercises that they're so focused on the exercise that they forget to correct, right? So there, when I looked at her, I would have been, oh, she's too far off, and instead done an about turn to correct her, to bring her in tighter, and then move into the left turns, okay? You got the movements correct. You had right, left, to the right. Your third right wasn't as sharp.
Yep.
It was a little soft. So I would cut in again at a 90-degree angle. So it's instead of a soft, it's right in front. Okay? So it's right, left, and then right again, and you're going straight back to the opposite.
Well, and I think the problem was that she wasn't very close, so to actually
On a couple of them.
to get that turn in front of her was kind of hard.
Sure.
So I ended up making it a wider turn.
Yes. So for the left turns, they're the hardest turns for people to master. We're gonna try another batch. I want you to think, if it doesn't look optimal to you, instead of trying to force through that left turn,
Okay.
do the about correct, because the 180 turns are what tighten her up.
Yep.
Okay, that's what brings her closer to the left leg. Because once you bring in the poly into this picture, you want to have all this stuff done, because you're not going to have the capability to just 180, because now you have the poly on that side. Okay, so we'll try it again. And I think, what are we're at 45 now?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Whenever you're ready.
Pemba.
Right, good. Right, left, right, you got it. But you see how she stalled for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's starting to get the you know what this means. Right turn, tap, tap. Were you thinking about left turn there?
Yeah.
I saw it.
And I'm like, she's too far.
Yes, correct. That was correct. Right, left, yep, just power through. Yeah, much better. 3 more. Good one. 2 more. Good. Last one. Very good. And slow to stop when you're ready. Tap, 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 tap. Try a little bit of what I'll have you do. There she goes. Is you can also swap the leash. So if she's here, you bring the leash to your right hand, pull up as you're tapping so that it allows your left hand to put pressure on her butt. So you're pulling up and pressing down at the same time. Okay. And when she does, you just relax like that. Eventually, the pulling up and tap will get super easy because she already is conditioned on what to do. So those left turns much better. Okay. So just remember, you know, when you're on an actual walk or anything, they have to be in position in order for this stuff to work, right? So definitely, you may want to revisit this stuff with Nepali as well, but hers is going to be reverse to tighten them up before you actually integrate them together. I would expect to be working with her for a week solo as you're mastering this stuff, and then the integration, okay? I doubt that you're going to be using the pivots, really. We'll go over it, but with 2 dogs, you really can't pivot. You're going to be using those crossovers, okay? Because if you're going left, she needs to see that leg coming out, and Nepali needs to see it crossing over, okay? So if you do a pivot, I would imagine, I don't think I've ever done it myself with a bunch of dogs, unless they're all on one side, is when you do this, the paw is going to keep going like that, right? So then next thing you know, you come in like this, and here's Pemba, and the Polly is most likely going to line up on the left. So you're going to be using crossovers to do to 180 and set up the pivots, okay? But when you're walking with them solo, you would absolutely use your pivots, okay? Do you remember which leg we lead the about right pivots with?
With the left.
Correct, right? So I'll have you just show me what you remember, and then we'll tweak it if we need to, okay?
Okay.
Whenever you're ready. So now you're gonna do the about right pivots, but these are the ones where she's paying attention. Okay, these are different from when she's passing you. When she's passing you, you just pivot, there's no warning, just tap, okay? But if she is paying attention, you wanna communicate with that left leg that you are making a 180 turn to the immediate right, okay? Whenever you're ready. Tap, let's try that again. And slow to stop.
Good job.
Yep, tap, tap, a little bit of pressure on the butt, tap, tap. Yeah, she's locked up. Tap, 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 tap. There she goes. Good. So that rounded swing, right? If you had an Nepali, you would use that for those turns, right? Because you need to communicate with the Nepali, we're crossing over to the right.
Right.
When we're doing the pivots, you're actually just extending that left leg and then stepping back onto the right and then forward with the left leg. Okay? And what you were doing is you were coming out and you were exaggerating it. You have to swinging it. Sit down. Yep. Side. Yep. You were swinging that left leg out like this and coming around, and you want to do the extend, pause for a second, back on the right, and then forward with the left, and now we're going the opposite way. Okay? Give another shot. Right, Pemba. Right. Tap, tap, forward, forward, tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap, tap. Good. Go ahead and slow to stop. So you're doing the leg swing still, okay?
Remind me what I'm supposed to do.
Sure. So, slow down first. And you're gonna step out with that left leg. Back on the right, back on the left. Okay? So again, I'll do it this way too. So what you're doing is you're doing the leg correctly, but you're swinging it like this instead of kind of a continuous motion. And what you're wanting to do is step out, get back on the right, and forward on the left. Okay? It's very coordinated. I know. It's like dancing. Much better, yes. Yeah, it gives the dog time to see what you're doing and to go around your leg. Forward, good. Turn, tap, good move, good move. Left, back on the right, forward to left. Perfect. You got it. 3 more. Yep, back on the right. Beautiful. 2 more. Good. Last one. Good. Tap forward, yep. She went the wrong way. That was on her, not you. Tap forward, go forward, tap, tap, tap. There she goes. Good. Wow.
I've actually never seen her do that before. So it's pretty funny.
Good and slow to stop when you're ready. That's funny. Good. And then up. Much better. Very good. Excellent.
Good job, huh?
So we went from 60 something to like 45 now, is it? Or did we bump?
It's 50.
50, okay. So we went down 15 levels, and I can see it's working for her, like 65 was working, right? And that number may continue to go down. So when you start your training sessions, I don't want you to worry about, we want to achieve a lower number. We always want to achieve good obedience, okay? Because then the owner will get like the 35. You're like, oh, the dog's pretty decent on 35, but that's just decent. I don't want decent. I want the best that we can get, okay? Do we have any questions so far about any of that stuff? So what I would suggest is when you go for your walks, prior to starting the walk, you just practice your turns. We're not going to worry about putting heel to this yet, okay? We're going to push that to next class like I typically do, but I'll have you go and start doing those leg movements and practicing between her and the poly, because you're going to have to get it down. You really only care about the crossovers when you have the both of them. If you just have one dog, then you have crossover and pivot, okay? So Nepali's would be the opposite. Hers will be pivoting off the right leg to the immediate left and then crossing over with the left leg, okay? I usually do about 5 reps of each turn, or I don't do them anymore, but I usually recommend that my clients do 5 reps of each turn prior to the walk as a warm-up. And then when you go on your walk, you know, you're just timing out, oh, I'm gonna make a left at this stop sign here. And then you have to like coordinate your legs and stuff. You do this enough, like I don't even think about it anymore, it's just natural.
Right.
But remembering to slow down, okay? If you ever, like let's say with Nepali, you're like, oh, she's pretty good with walking, but yeah, she doesn't stop with us, it's probably because there's no slowing down, okay? It's like the most common issue that I get with leash walking is Jessie, my dog, doesn't stop with me or turn with me like they were during training. And I'll just go, you're not slowing down. Super simple, okay? Questions about that? In terms of, because earlier I saw her, she was very sociable with that one dog that approached, and then that golden doodle, she was reactive, right? Have you seen that before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think she wants to play with every dog.
Sure.
When she's held back,
She doesn't like
she
it.
gets reactive.
Yes. So that's triggered by opposition reflex. It just means when the dog feels pressure, they want to go against pressure. So the remote's going to give you a lot more leverage now, because now you're not going to have that. You shouldn't need that pull back. If anything, you pull up.
Yep.
Okay, always pull straight up when you get a reactive moment, not back nor up and back, up. Okay. That reactivity there didn't take me by surprise because of that dog's energy. That dog was a lunatic, right? So yes. So when you see things like this, I want you to just make notes of it. Okay. People tend to see the reactivity. They don't see what's around the reactivity. Okay. And you want to see what's around the reactivity, because that'll tell you, like, yeah, she doesn't like certain personality types. When it comes to sociability, I don't like everybody that I meet, and I'm sure not everybody that meets me likes me, right? It's just how it is. It's perfectly fine. Same thing with dogs. There's an unrealistic expectation of every dog must love everyone and everything, and that's not the case. So you can start learning more about her personality by just observing these things, and you can put yourself in an advantage, because if you see that dog again, I go, oh, I know she's not going to like that dog. Let me step aside, have my control, shorten my leash, tell them you go on ahead, you know, and if they try to approach, we're training, and then let them go, and then you can go for your walk, okay? Trying to walk past something like that at this stage and controlling reactivity is going to be more difficult and probably less successful Okay, once you're more advanced and she's got a good foundation of training and understanding, then you can start pushing things a bit more. Okay, questions about that?
I just want to say I think it was brilliant that you have it here. I know it's because of COVID, but like all the distractions I think are
Oh
so
yeah.
good.
One of my clients said that this is they at their job they do some kind of studies or something, and this is the busiest park in Chicago, and this is nothing. Okay,
Right.
weekends is crazy
Oh, I
busy.
bet.
So all our clients that have done it on the weekends, I'm like, welcome to real life.
Yeah.
You know?
And I know we did it at the other park, but it wasn't that busy. This has just been so great to have all these distractions.
Yeah, you got dogs, bikes, skateboarders, strollers, people. You know, you even get a crazy person every now and then. Let me think here. For your homework, practice this, right? Every walk is now a training walk. If it's a quick outing, well, you guys got a yard now, so it doesn't really matter, but you know, quick potty break doesn't matter. I would only use the remote at this time for things that we've covered. If you're correcting something in the home, you're fine because there's no worry of her running away. But if she were to be off leash anywhere that's unenclosed, I would not do that, okay? Good. A little bit of observance, no real concern. A little bit of the dipping of the head, but it's good. Okay. So anything that you notice that makes her timid, you know, bikes or whatever, joggers and stuff, start pressing her.
Expose her to it.
Yeah, and I think the best exposure is actually stationary exposure at this point. Okay, because you've not seen her like become reactive to a bike or anything like that.
No, not to my knowledge.
I've seen her sort of like bark if she gets scared.
Sure,
If something
caught off
startles
guard.
her.
Sure.
You know, so if she's sitting here and something comes by very quickly, and it could be a biker, she'll bark at them because it's startled her.
Sure. So we should see that dip because now her nerves should be more settled with the discipline of the e-collar. Let's keep an eye on that. If you ever notice something like, you know, go off and you're like, oh, she would typically be caught off guard and bark at that, file that as like, okay, good. One instance of no bark, right? So then if you come back and you're like, hey, Jesse, we came across 20 times when you would typically bark, but only twice did she do so. I go, great. The collar's settling down her nerves, okay? If you see something like the jog or whatever that you know makes her uncomfortable, I would suggest you treat it the same way as the lunatic dog and step aside, shorten your leash, and have her go through it in that fashion. It's much easier to get it done that way because you can see her full body language.
Should you have her between you and the stressor, or you between her and the stressor?
Either facing or her between you and the stressor. Okay. When you do so, you want to make sure that you do shorten. Okay. Now, I know we haven't seen anything like lunge and bark towards those things, but you want to just plan for it, right? So I always like to be a step ahead. I'll shorten the leash. So in case she does do it, because if you're pressing things now, the stress levels are going to be going up, right? Until you get enough exposure that she settles, that if she tries to lunge, because she's like, man, this is the 20th bike or whatever, I'm tired of this shit, and tries to lunge, you can correct her, but also restrain how far she's going to go. Okay?
I don't know if we've ever seen her lunge at
Yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't really
a
seen
person
it
or
lunge.
Yeah.
at a dog. Yes.
I don't think you're going to see it. It's more so just planning for it in case,
Okay.
so that she doesn't jump out in front of a bike,
Yeah.
you know? But I do this with everything, you know, like even dogs passing, because you don't know if their dog's going to lunge towards yours, which then causes them to lunge in response. So by having that leash short is like just a precaution, okay? Otherwise, she did really good today.
Yeah, she did.
What's the Polly's number now?
Usually about 45-ish, I believe.
But she also has the soft.
Yeah.
Oh, sure, the comfort pad. Yeah,
So
I remember.
that doesn't. It's not as strong.
Correct. Okay.
And so we had to bump it up once we started using that.
Yeah, like
Sure.
if there's reactions, like out on the walk or something, I bump it up to like 60.
Sure. Yep. So then, it sounds like they're going to be roughly the same range, you know? So when you start working with them together, in the beginning, it's a little bit of thinking, but you get used to it. And I don't even look at the dial. I just know where to go roughly, and then just tap if I need to do something.
Yeah, I don't really pay attention to the number when I'm walking to Polly. I just kind of bump it up, see if it works, bump it up.
Correct. Good.
So,
Perfect.
same
Yeah.
thing.
So I think she did good.
Awesome.
Nothing out the ordinary, other than the timidness and the nervousness, which is just personality type. We'll see how she does as we progress her a bit more. Just keep a track of any responses like the barking and stuff like you said. Okay.
Cool. I think we see you Saturday again.
Yeah, because you guys are doubling up. Cause
Yeah, it's not every Saturday, but what? It's in the morning, like 9ish. Or maybe it's 4:15 actually. I'm sorry. These are 9. Saturdays I think are 4:15.
Let me see here.
4:15.
Yeah, I see a 4:15 here. Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Thanks.
Awesome.
Chelsea.
Thanks, guys. It was good to see you again. Glad you're doing
Sure.
your
Back.
healthy and safe and stuff.